Hey there, how you doing? I'm just quickly checking my settings to make sure I've got my audio set correctly. I'm running a little bit late today. Yep, all sorted, so that's good. And I can see I've got 4 people watching. Hey, how you doing? Are you feeling full moony? I sure as hell am. Let us know in the chat room where you're listening in from and who you are, because I always like to say hello. And if you've got a question as well. In today's show, I'm going to be looking at the chart of somebody in the community called Bernadette, who is feeling that things are a little bit tighter around her at the moment, and so I really want to offer her as much support as I can. So I'm going to be looking at her chart to see what we can do. I'm also going to be doing another little micro lesson about Venus. This time I'm going to be looking at compatibility charts. So I'm not going to be like paying loads of attention to them, but just introducing you to a couple of different ways that we can look at compatibility in astrology. If you've been following my Venus playlist, you'll know that whilst Venus is retrograde, I'm committed to creating one piece of a video a day for the 40 days and 40 nights, all about finding greater intimacy and love in your life through using astrology. And sometimes it's actually about Venus and sometimes it's not. It might be something else that's related to love within your charts. But hopefully we're well under the way. I think we're on episode 9 now or something like that. So I can see I've got a few people joining me. So let's say a few hellos. So the Global Nobles in Lisbon. Hey, hola, boa noite. How you doing? We've got Nubianette joining us from California. Hey, Nubianette, how you doing? Are you at work at the moment? Bless you. I love how you just show in and show up whilst you're kind of tapping away at work. We've got Jean in from Moncarapaccio in the south of Portugal. Olá, boa tarde. And everyone's just saying hello to each other, which is really nice. I really love that. Now, at the end of these shows, I'm usually joined by Mr. M, who you may well know is my husband, also known as Cole Munson. And what we like to do at the end of the show is have a little bit of fun, because I don't know about you, but the new age community, and in particular the astrological community, can be a little bit serious, a little bit serious, a little bit right on, and a little bit grumpy sometimes. So we try and have a bit of fun. And tonight we've got a song. So like we look at songs that have got astrological references in, and we sort of analyze it. He likes to have a little bit of a sing song. We can't actually play the song, which is a bit of a bugger because YouTube won't let us do that. However, this is a song that I'm pretty sure most people will know. It is Venus by Bananarama. So we're going to be having not a listen. We're going to be discussing some of the lyrics there and just having a bit of fun with it. So hopefully this will just be kind of lighthearted, supportive. And, if you've got any questions at all, just fire them up in the chat room and I'll do my best to answer them. So how are you all feeling? Are you feeling a little bit new moony? That's my big question. Not new moony, full moony, because we are right in the middle of a super full moon right now. And I don't know. I mean, if you've got a strong Aquarius, Leo, Taurus or Scorpio-ness about your charts, the chances are there's a little bit of resonance going on. It's quite a challenging one because with the full moon, you've got the sun in one side of the chart and the moon in the other, and they're kind of fighting, they're pulling you in a couple of directions. So it's often a time when we feel really pulled and stretched in all of our capacities. Funnily enough, where this is in my chart, it's right in between the 4th house and the 10th house. Now, for those of you that know about astrology, the 4th house is all about the home and the heart and the family and how you like to be private. And then the 10th house is about how you appear outside of the home, how you appear in your career and the work that you do. And today I have felt so pulled and stretched that I think I am going to have to pull back a little bit and put myself back in the family a little bit more. So, these full moons come with a few decisions along the way. So let us know, share what you're feeling, and, let's see if we can at least support each other. Or at least commiserate with each other. Let's see. Let's see what's going on. So anyway, we've got Yeah, so Nubianet's saying hello to the world, which is very nice. And the Global Nobles are saying, Leo here, feeling overwhelmed and just wanting to hide inside. Oh, my love. Now, off the top of my head, I can't remember where your Leo is in your chart. But if you let me know, if you know which house this area is, I might be able to give you a little bit more of a clue as to how you might alleviate it. But usually, I think just staying inside is quite a good bet, especially if the full moon occurs with a public holiday, a weekend, a payday, like in the UK on a Friday night at the end of the month. That's a terrible time for a full moon because everyone's out on the lash because most people have got paid. So it's quite, one of these really sort of violent times, or really quite crazy, sort of sleeping with people you don't know kind of times, those kind of things that occur when everyone from a call center goes out with a ton of cash and a lot of tension behind them. Nubinet saying, I don't know if I've ever felt full moony. Well, it's really funny that you say that, because actually just before I sent Mr. Munson on a very serious wine mission, he pulled a full moon through my window, through the downstairs window at me, and I didn't realize that's what he was doing. But I think that is what he was doing. He was reminding me about my work, my very important work. Global Nobles, Leo is my sun sign. Yeah, and I wonder where it is in your chart. I might just have to have a look. Let me just get the other things underway first, and if you give me permission, I'll very happily look at your chart, and let me know if I can let people know what your name is or not. Anyway, let's bring on the first chart, which is for Bernadette, and let me just make this a bit bigger. I need to change my view ever so slightly. So as you'll see in this chart, can you notice there's a bit of a tension going on there? There's a bit of a, even if you don't know about astrology, actually seeing this, it's like a big seesaw. This person, Bernadette, has got a lot down here and then a lot up here, and they are in opposition, like they're pulling at each other, which is a very sort of full moon kind of energy. So I'm just scanning through my message with her to see what it was that she wanted me to have a look at. Now, my chart today, Bernadette, has had a couple of astrologers. She's had a couple of sessions with astrologers, and they've kind of disagreed with each other, which I don't think is helpful, is it? When one person's saying, oh, this is how it is, and then someone's saying, oh, no. I wonder if I'm going to provide a third perspective. Coffee. Oh, thank you so much. Oh, wonderful. Sorry? Okay. That's perfect. Thank you. Okay, so okay, so this is rubbish, isn't it? I'm just reading a message and not saying anything. Anyway, there's some difficulty in understanding the Pluto according to these astrologers. Now, Pluto, right down here, as you can see, is very, very close to this very, very strong angle here, which is the IC, which is known as the angle to do with the home. It's the seat of everything intimate with us. It represents our childhood, our relationships with our parents, how secure we were when we were being raised. And also it speaks about the home that we hope to live in one day, or the home that kind of comes up. And Pluto is the planet of transformation. Now, for anyone, transformation sounds quite jolly, really, doesn't it? It doesn't sound like it could rip you apart at the seams. However, some transformations do occur like that. In fact, most of them feel like that. And anyone that's had Pluto go over their sun or an angle or their moon will know that. For instance, anyone that has Capricorn sun or moon or ascendant will know that in the last 10 years, they've been really pulled apart in quite a major way. So having Pluto here is a very, very strong indication of almost quite a fated life, often where yielding has been the only thing that Bernadette can do. It's really quite tricky. Now, she's also got the South Node here. So I've spoken recently about the North Node. The South Node is always in opposition. And her North Node and her South Node are both at 0 degrees, as they would be across a very, very sensitive point. This is the Aries 0 point, and this is the Libra 0 point. This corresponds with the actual start of the zodiac. I mean, obviously, it looks like a continuous circle, but even in a continuous circle, there is a metaphorical or metaphysical starting point and an ending point, and they just blend into each other. But it's pretty significant. And it represents the first moment of going into spring. It represents the spring equinox. And the South Node here represents the autumn equinox. Now, in many respects, like 0 point Aries is also really representing the identity, the self. It's very much like the ascendant. And the South Node is very much like the descendant. And so it feels very much like there's this very big tug of war going on for Bernadette in her birth chart makeup. For instance, the North Node, which also is in the 10th house, and the 10th house is about her career and how she makes her way in the world, is very much is very much based on her identity with this sort of 0 point Aries North Node. And if you see, you'll notice at 0 degrees, we've also got Chiron, and Chiron's the wounded healer. And so if we imagine, like, what does if you combined the energies of the wounded healer with the North Node, which is about our karmic direction, and then also think, okay, it's also got something to do with a personal identity, and also stepping out into life and stepping out as a career. That's a huge energetic to be carrying on your shoulders. And it would have been very, very huge for Bernadette when she was very young and not able to cope with some of these emotions that would have been coming up for her. And if she was lucky, she'd have had people that could protect her and show her some of the tendencies that were coming up and how maybe she could cope with it. Chiron sometimes shows us where we get really good mentors, but it can also show up early, until we get used to asking for help and get used to the feeling of vulnerability. Until we can ask for help, it's very, very difficult to get over the vulnerabilities as represented by Chiron. And then she's got Venus here as well, which can represent a girl, and it can also represent Bernadette as a young woman. It can also represent who she loves and who she has flow with. And Venus is also about the flow of life, the flow of beauty, the flow of joy, and all of those things. And if you look down here, Bernadette's got more planets down here. So she's got Uranus and Jupiter together. Now, Uranus is another one of those really big planets. And for anyone that's been watching my show quite a bit, you'll know that I've mentioned more than a few times that in the mid-60s, there's this very difficult pattern where you've got Pluto and Uranus together, and then you've got Chiron in opposition. And in the mid-60s, you've also got Saturn there. Thankfully, Saturn has moved on a bit, but it's been replaced with the North and the South nodes, which is also very, very tricky, and also Jupiter. Now, Jupiter is also known as a benefic, like Venus. It's a planet that brings us luck and brings us a feeling of grace and a feeling of expansion. But if you also think, what is expansion in its very nature, you'll know that it's about things getting bigger. And of course, if things are getting bigger, they could also be said to be inflamed. They could be getting out of control. So what is going on as I'm looking at this is that like Uranus brings in breaks, it brings in shocks, it brings in upsets, it brings in disruption, it brings up quite a disrupting energy at home. and in the conjunction with Jupiter, that can really inflame it and make it so much bigger and harder to cope with. So she's got this huge thing going on here. Now, she's also in her message pointed out to me, and this is something that she's worked out for herself, but has also, it's been shared with her via the astrologers as well, I think. Like the 6th house is about health, and she's got a conjunction between Mars and Neptune in the sign of Scorpio. And then this conjunction can be quite difficult because Mars shows us our vitality, our strength, our like the flow of our blood, the beat of our heart. Mars is very much about the I would say the veins and our energy and having the get up and go and being able to survive. Basically, Mars is all about survival. And then Neptune can be really insidious. I mean, I think Neptune, when it's poorly aspected, although this Neptune isn't that poorly aspected, it has got a square to the sun, which is difficult. It's not a tight square, but she does have a square to the sun via Neptune. But like the sun is also about our vitality and our strength as well. So she's got this difficult aspect to Neptune, and Neptune can show up in terms of autoimmune disorders. In fact, I've got these two in a conjunction in my chart in a square to my moon. And I've had all sorts of like ME, chronic fatigue syndrome, post-viral fatigue syndrome, and I've had very, very strong reactions when I've had drugs. I've been like hospitalized because of pharmaceutical things that I've taken. So I've got to be a little bit sensible, and also look at things that are coming into me. I always think with Neptune in a difficult position, it shows a sensitivity to chemicals, to energy, to other people's moods. I also think psychic attacks. They're a little harder to prove, but Neptune is also a planet that is full of guilt and shame and blame, and then Mars is very good with anger and resentment. And so the two of them together, I think, also coincide with people pleasers who are guilt catchers. And eventually they can become very good guilt throwers as well. And they can, guilt is that gift that keeps on giving. So that's very strong. But with also with Mars and Neptune in a conjunction, or even in a square or an opposition, what I have noticed is it's very easy to get despondent. So it's like the vitality almost gets sucked up by the sort of nebulousness of Neptune, and it becomes very difficult to be able to put your finger on what is causing it. It's almost like you're gaslighting yourself, or your body is gaslighting. It's like self-sabotage, but like an unconscious self-sabotage. And by it's very meaning like self-sabotage. We're not always that aware of what we're doing, but with this, it's like the body is self-sabotaging. And I also think with this particular thing as well, is that it can it can also create like obviously like depression and things like that. So there's a physical, there's a spiritual, and then there's this kind of very undefined direction. It's very difficult to find our direction and to move forwards. And like Mars is all about moving forwards. The great thing with Mars here in the 6th house is, Bernadette is really able to do a lot of work, but she's probably got to really manage her energy systems, and without breaking any confidence. I know that she has been diagnosed with an autoimmune issue. But I do also see that she's got this lovely trine to Chiron. And like I said, Chiron is the wounded healer, but he's also a mentor that comes and shows up and is able to help us. So at some level, I think there is help around. And it's probably shown up at different times. It might be that she is divinely protected on a kind of spiritual sense. It might be that the right people show up at the right time, or that pain gets to a certain level, and then it's almost like there is a cutoff point. Um, it feels like there is a level of protection. Um, and I would imagine that when strong things go over this area, there is a kind of healing point. There's a moment when things start to heal and repair. Mars is also in a very good sextile with the vertex and Mercury, and is also in a very strong sextile to Pluto. Now, Pluto and Mars in a sextile is very strong. So I can see it would be a mystery with illnesses as they come up, and autoimmune disorders as they come up. And yet, one of the biggest mysteries is it feels like there's a lot of inherent strength with Bernadette. And it's almost like, she really shouldn't be ill. And yet something is coming up, and it's like getting to that absolute core. And I can see the absolute frustration of it. The South Node down here, the South Node often shows us, if you believe in past lives, it shows us where we're coming from, and what may have been brought into this lifetime with us. Could it be something like a generational something, that's being passed down from, grandmother to mother to child, and then so on and so forth? Is it something that is like a past life that is being carried through, some kind of trauma that is reenacting itself and kind of coming in? I think, with Neptune involved, that often shows up, because Neptune really shows us the veils of reality, and that we are living in one veil of reality, but Neptune really shows where we're connecting to another and to another and to another. And so one of my questions is, as I'm looking at this chart, is, has Bernadette ever been checked for energy leakages? Like, is there an energetic connecting to a different life, a different place, a different veil, a different dimension, a different reality? I would imagine times like this, like right now, would be extremely difficult, because it feels like half of humanity are like in one place. It feels like humanity is separating quite I would love to say gently, but to me it feels it's quite vicious, and not because people are wanting to be vicious with each other, but it feels like there's lots of people bifurcating. It's like there is this split, like the parting of the Red Sea, people on one side and people on the other, for all different types of reasons. So there is this energy of breaking down and breaking apart right now, and with Bernadette's very sensitive system and her immune system, the 6th house here is all about our health. And then the 4th house, which is about our stability, is also about the building blocks of our body as well. So both of these I see as being part of her immune response. Whilst they're talking to each other, it looks to me, and obviously I'm not a doctor, and I'm pretty sure you didn't believe that I was anyway, but just to be really sure. But, it feels like, there is something very subtle underneath it all, pinning it all together. And I wonder where it's come from. And it may well be about her belief systems. The belief systems all start here, that came from childhood. And it could, I would absolutely recommend any kind of trauma release to explore those things, and also any kind of doctoring that looks at trauma and the causes of it, and shocks in particular, seeing as Uranus is here, and Pluto is here with the South Node. They're very shocking, and Jupiter can absolutely build into it. Ultimately, like when I look at charts, I always think, what is the unconscious mind trying to do, and what is the conscious mind trying to do? Because, when I trained in hypnotherapy, one of the things I learned is that there is just really one core job of your unconscious mind, and that is to keep you alive. And it will do anything it can, in its directive to keep you alive. And to keep you alive, it might actually need you to sicken sometimes, or to get hooked on something. Because, for instance, like, with an alcoholic, so many people say, oh, just quit and you'll be fine. You're doing yourself more damage. But the unconscious mind doesn't always make sense. Like for some person, it may have been more damaging to be able to see the truth of a situation. And so the unconscious mind thinks, okay, I need to cloud this situation to keep this body going, to keep this person alive. So there's all sorts of different reasons. And I think looking deeply into the inner programming is utterly essential. But this isn't actually all of what I've been asked to do. She's got this very interesting what's known as a yod between her 11th and her 9th and her 4th. Now, a yod is formed with two angles of 150 degrees. So there's a 150-degree angle here between the Sun and Pluto. And this is, it's a very, very tight one. It's 151 degrees. It's pretty close. Now, these are actually seen as magical angles. Not every astrologer believes so, but there's a type of astrology called magi astrology, and they absolutely see the perfection with these 150-degree angles. They create a tension that is resolvable, but is complex enough that we do something about it. And we have to almost enact a bit of our innate magic to be able to access what we need. And so here between the Sun and Pluto, this is about our identity, and Pluto is showing us what is controlling us. And so at some level, it feels like Bernadette struggles to express herself fully because there are controls at home. There are things at home stopping her from living quite freely. And her Sun in the sign of Aquarius is all about freedom of movement, especially in the 9th house. The 9th house is about awakening. It's about freedom. It's about learning. It's about belief systems, spirituality. In the sign of Aquarius, it's also very much about astrology too, and any kind of system of thought and system of consciousness. There's so much there for Bernadette to explore. And because of the circumstances that she lives with, it's very difficult for her to be able to explore everything that she would love to explore. And I don't know if Bernadette's actually listening live. Let me just check. I can't see her in the comments, so I think she's going to be listening into this after the show. So I won't reveal any more personal information, but suffice to say, where Pluto shows up, it represents something quite challenging. It represents an energy system whereby it feels the more we fight against it, the more we're fighting. Like in Bernadette's case, she's fighting for her freedom. She's fighting for her opportunity to explore. She's fighting for her opportunity to be free. She's fighting for her opportunity to expand and be absolutely 100% free to expand. And at some level, she just can't. And with Pluto, the more we fight, it's almost like one of those. I remember watching one of the Star Wars movies years ago where someone got their finger caught in a hole, and the more they fought against it, the more they were pulled in, a bit like quicksand. If you're fighting in the quicksand, you just get sucked under really quick. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. And it's almost like when you play dead and you stop fighting, even though that fight could absolutely kill you and suck you under and destroy the ego, and the Sun is like the ego, it can absolutely destroy that semblance of freedom that she's longing for. And yet it's in the letting go with Pluto that we find the freedom and we find the answer. Now, this is going to be hard because there's quite a few different aspects of Bernadette's chart that are holding her in place in quite a painful way. And so me sharing, the more you're fighting over this, Bernadette, the more trapped you're going to get. And actually, as you let go, there'll be more energy available for you to explore. It's just you'll be exploring life in a different way. But there is, like Pluto shows us where we need to yield. And now, the other thing that's connecting into her yod, and it's not an exact yod, sometimes they really come down where they're like the point is absolute to one planet. This is just slightly off to the side. So she's got Vesta here, that is connected to our truth, our sacred truth. And it is connected to exactly to Uranus. So we've got this difficult to realize aspect of her truth, her need for friendships, her need for alliance, her need for support, her need for a really big network. And there is something that appears shocking and difficult to process, i.e., Uranus and the north and the south node. It feels like shocks from the past are preventing her from being able to connect with full authenticity to a network. Now, is that because of shame? There's no need for any shame, by the way, Bernadette, but is it from some, I don't know what it is, but it feels like there's an emotional shock that is holding her in place, almost holding her captive from connecting to really great networks that will help her, networks that will support her. And possibly there's the difficulty that the networks aren't very accessible. They're not easy to find. They're very, very specialist. And so it's very difficult. So there's these two very difficult things. Now, the rumors and what I've observed with the finger of Yod is wherever the Yod is pointing to is representing like the sum total of the resolution of the issue. And so her Yod is pointing to Pluto, the South Node, and also Uranus. Now, it's all in the fourth house, which is about her childhood. It's also possibly about past lives, because the fourth house is about past lives as well. It's about the past. It could very well be about one or both parents and the home situation. It could also have some kind of shock, nasty shock, horrible shock involved in that, i.e. Pluto can represent the death of somebody or the sudden change of somebody, and Uranus is obviously the shock and what's going on. And the South Node is very much a representation. Again, I have to just premise it, it's past life stuff. If you believe in past lives, if you don't, then consider it's something that may be carried genetically. It might be something that is a family pattern that has been passed down. It's like a repeated pattern. And in the repeat of it is also coming more feeling of shock and more feeling of defeat and being kind of crushed by the circumstances. I mean, as an astrologer, if I was to, do a vote with people and say, okay, which planets in the fourth house create the most difficult childhoods, or the ones that, are really quite crippling, but could actually lead to something really, really sort of breakthrough-y. I'm pretty sure every astrologer would say Uranus in the fourth house, Pluto in the fourth house, a node in the fourth house. The other thing I think is Chiron, and Chiron's in her 10th house, which is the other house associated with parents and feeling successful in life. So this is a huge thing. And, what I do notice, I mean, obviously I haven't got loads and loads of time to explain and unpick this reading for Bernadette, but she's got this very sensitive point here at 0 degrees. Chiron's already gone past it. Neptune is getting closer to it, which isn't necessarily helpful. Neptune tends to fog things a little bit. So already, as Neptune is getting closer to it, it's probably brought up this feeling of the burden of what Bernadette has been carrying and the need for a release, but not necessarily knowing where it is. It's almost like a life quest. It feels like she is getting the Holy Grail, but there's no instruction manual, and it's like in another language as well, when it comes through, it's channeled through. But Neptune also does show where we are mystical. It shows where we're intuitive, and the fact that Neptune is getting very close to her Chiron could be an indication that there's mystical teachers around her, that there are really good mentors, that there could be somebody who could help her with what she's going through. And I would be on the lookout for that. But again, with Neptune, you've got to watch out, because Neptune can be really mystical and elevated, but it can also represent people that are slightly less than honest as well. And obviously in the category of new age, there are one thing that any good coach suffers is the fact that there's lots of charlatans around as well, and we all get tarred with the same brush. So I think it's something that if Bernadette could get very good at dowsing and using her own intuition and absolutely studying her own level of discernment, that seems to be something that's really, really vital for her in these coming days, months, and whatnot. What I like about this is the fact that she's got her North Node and South Node at 0 degrees and her Chiron at 0 degrees. 0 degrees in sign of Aries could be, it's like pulling a rabbit out of a hat. Like it's almost like the address or the key to the universal energy. So I actually don't think she needs to suffer any longer than she needs to. And I'm not saying that to discount her experience to date or anything like that, or to invalidate her journey so far. Absolutely not saying that at all. But what I do think is possible is something quite miraculous can take place. And I would also say, if something miraculous doesn't take place, not to take it to heart and think, oh, I'm obviously not worthy, because the potential of something very quick, simple and complete is there. So I don't think, I know that Bernadette and I came into a conversation around the time of the North Node changing signs just 3 weeks ago, I think 2 or 3 weeks ago, because we were saying, oh yeah, it's just gone into the sign of Aries. And then we were talking about her chart, and I said, oh, it's going to go over that 0 point in 18 months time. And that looks a bit like a countdown, 18 months before it gets to this very sensitive point, which could be a super strong release point, because around that time, Neptune is also going to be right slap bang over that. What I would do if I was in your shoes right now is, and this is, I don't know if this can be helpful or not, Bernadette, but what I would do is look at the past. To me, the Yod is pointing at the past. It's pointing at your childhood. It's pointing at your ancestry. It's pointing at past lives. I don't think it's important for you to beat yourself up. I think this almost, as I look at this, obviously I think we are divine creators. I also believe we take responsibility for what comes in, but I also see a very strong scenario that was happening around you that had very little to do with you, and yet you have taken it on. So if I was in your shoes right now, any mode of healing work that I would be going through would involve an element of unpicking the responsibility that you feel and that you feel you carry, and somehow cleansing it, or almost like exorcising it, almost like the pattern stops here, some kind of uninvite spell, but on a health and spiritual and family basis, to stop the past coming into the future. I don't know how that happens exactly, because I'm not the person here to heal you. I'm just here to look at the potentials in your chart. Other things I think are really significant, given that you're born at the time where Uranus and Jupiter are together in a conjunction. These two are already in a conjunction. They're coming closer and closer in a conjunction. It's really funny, actually. In the last few weeks, I've had lots of people come to me with this pattern in their birth chart. We are coming into the time of rapid change for you, really rapid change. And again, Jupiter makes it bigger, expands, and Uranus cuts things down and cuts things off. So I really think there is a big moment for you where you can expand and cut things off and create a really rapid change. There's so much more I want to tell you, and yet I don't have any more time to talk about this today. But I hope what has come out as I've been looking at your chart, I hope it's been sensitive and insightful in this short space of time. And if there's anything I can do in the future, just let me know. So thank you so much for letting me have a look at your chart, Bernadette. I really appreciate that. So I'm just going to come out of here and just have a look at some of the other comments. We've got quite a few people listening in. We've got a big hello from a Facebook user. I don't know who you are, but hello anyway. You just show up as Facebook user. We've got people saying hello to Owen. Hi, Owen. How you doing? We've got Jane Spitfire. Hey, Jane. Do you know who Jane Spitfire is?
Fantastic name.
It's an amazing name, really good name. We've got Helen Chintu, who's a very good friend. I'm here, but apparently my battery is low, typical. She's here again. I'm not officially taking you with me for a week. I don't miss a moment of this. I love your readings, obviously. I'm guessing Helen has just taken the phone into the toilet. So she didn't miss the reading. And Facebook user, it's Sarah as Facebook user. Okay, hi Sarah. Welcome back, by the way. It's lovely to have you here and also on the same continent. And Helen saying, hell yeah. Well, do you know what? I imagine most people here will put their hand up and say they've taken their phone with them into the toilet. You know, we're all human, aren't we? So that was a little bit about Bernadette's reading. Owen saying Saturn, evening sun, glass of wine and a big smile. That's fantastic. I'm so pleased for you. And that's a nice way actually to see in the new moon, the full moon. It's very, very positive. So this next bit, I normally finish with Carl. Are you raring to go? Because I've still got another.
What?
Yeah, I'm running late. I wanted to pay a bit more attention.
I'm so not used to being treated like this.
Yeah. Is that okay?
Can I sit here until you're
Sure,
until
absolutely,
you're ready
absolutely.
for me?
Yes. Sorry, the big star that is Carl next to me is a little bit grumpy because I haven't managed my the dead person that I'm reanimating for a little bit later is yeah, anyway. Stop screen. Let's So I did say I was going to just talk briefly about a little bit more Venus stuff. So let's bring a little bit more of that up. Because as you probably know, I've been doing a lesson a day, and I'm doing it for 40 days. So we're talking about Venus. Helen is saying, yeah, that may well be because Helen actually has a business called Venus Health Academy, which you might choose to check out. Just a little hint there. She's a damn good healer. So anyway, let's bring on... let's have a look at Venus. So I just wanted to just show you a couple of things, nothing too in depth. I just wanted to show you a couple of tools that astrologers use in terms of assessing compatibility. So far we've spoken about Venus, which sign she's in, whether she's in a strong sign, what house she might be in, whether she's, near the rulers or not, near the angles, sorry, whether she has hard aspects or soft aspects, and what this might mean in terms of how we fall in love and the partners that we attract. Now, what I'm introducing, and like I said, I'm not going to go in depth, but what I'm introducing is the idea of how astrologers might see it. So, for instance, this is one person's chart, and then we've got another person's chart. Now, for the sake of honesty, I'm going to actually say they are not an actual couple and never have been a couple. They have met, however, and I selected both of their charts because I think in another lifetime they may well have met and become partners, because they've got a lot of little areas like pockets of interest. And what first of all brought this to my attention was I was looking at this particular chart, and there's a lot of energy here at 21 to 23 degrees in the sign of Capricorn, including the Venus. And Venus is obviously really important in terms of love. And then this chart here also has Venus in the sign of Capricorn. It's at 6 degrees, but look at this ascendant at 18 and a half. It's at 19 degrees in the sign of Capricorn. So they both have a sensitivity around 19 to 20, like this is really close to 21 degrees and 23 degrees. In astrology, we are looking for connections between people. In particular, in a love connection, we would be looking for a connection between Venus and possibly the ascendant, which is one of the most, I think it's the most important point of a birth chart personally. We might be looking for a connection between Venus and somebody else's sun, or for instance, somebody's moon and Venus. And we're always looking for connections. And so I just thought it was an interesting one to have a look at. Also, I know that this person here has got their north node in the sign of Pisces, and Mars, which is a sexual planet, in the sign of Pisces. And then we've got this moon and Chiron conjunction in the sign of Pisces. So I was thinking, oh, Capricorn and Pisces, these two, let's have a look at these two as a potential. So this is how we would look at simple attraction. And we've got a couple of tools that we use. Now, one of those tools is known as synastry, which sounds sinister, but it is the comparison between one person's chart and another. And so you'll see all of these planets in blue represent the lady's chart, and all the planets in red around the outside represent the male's chart. And it doesn't have to be male and female, by the way, but you know, I'm just being authentic about these two. And what you'll see here when you compare the charts is that the Venus of his chart is right in a conjunction on the ascendant of her chart. His sun is right on the ascendant, which is another indication of an attraction. And Mercury is also in a conjunction with the ascendant. Down here, we've also got the moon connected to Mars, the sexual planet. And yeah, just those are quite a good indicator of a natural rapport that would come up, but in particular one that would have a sexual component and a possibly a romantic component. Now, when you're looking at the charts of lovers, the more connections you have, the better. And you start to interpret the meaning of one planet against the other. And you might look at where that planet shows up in the other person's chart. So for instance, in her chart, the Mars sexual element shows up in her second house, which can show that there is something very attractive about him in terms of how he earns money and how she perceives him. So, you know, you start to build up this case of how they are compared to each other. So it's looking at their energy systems and how they compare to each other. So that's one way. The other way is to look at a composite chart. And to be fair, I would use two. I would use the composite chart and the synastry chart to see the potentials, because the composite chart is different. So with the composite chart, you look for the midpoint between two of the same planets. So the midpoint between his sun in Capricorn and her sun in Sagittarius is 10 degrees in the sign of Capricorn. The midpoint between his Venus and her Venus is 14 degrees. And so the whole chart is built out of their midpoints. It's like the average of their charts. It's like him plus her. And I guess it's like a Venn diagram. It's like the combination, and it's the thing that exists between them. And in this little spot between them, it describes the potential of the relationship. So this chart is about the potential relationship between them, expressed between his personality and her personality. And then the other one is one person's potentials against another's, and it shows where they have these little merging spots, showing where they have little pockets of interest that seem to work together. Now, looking at this composite chart, you can see there's this really tight T-square, which would create some really big challenges within the relationship. So even if they got on, and even if there was a sexual attraction, I mean, this actually would raise a lot of tension between them, and it could be quite sexual. I mean, there would be no lack of energy between them, and yet it looks like they're dynamically working against each other at times. and probably getting quite offended by each other. But I just wanted to show you these two different methods that astrologers can use to analyze the potential of a relationship. And they are both quite different, but both really, really important. So one is to compare partners and one is to merge partners. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. And I think it's time to bring on Mr. M now. Are you ready? Are you ready, or are you not ready now? Are you upset with me? You might be upset. We've got a few comments coming in while you're sorting yourself out. While you're getting over yourself, let's let's bring you in. It'd be nice to welcome you to the screen.
Finally.
Actually, let me turn your sound up so we can hear you moaning.
Oh, yeah. I think I need volume 2. Sorry to be a pain and all that.
It is volume 2.
Volume 2.
It
needs to be plugged in as well.
You need to be plugged in.
Allow me. I was going to put a shirt on for this.
I'm glad you didn't.
And comb both my hairs.
Hello.
Hi.
I need to change our positions over.
Look at the state of me. It's a hot one today, isn't it?
It's very hot and muggy today, isn't it?
It's like hard to be awake. I want to see Carl's sulky face. It's red, blotchy, and sulky, especially for you, Helen.
So we got a couple of comments coming in. So Helen is, I can see the patterns, and
on my face.
No. I think about, I may well. The funny thing is, I actually use the charts of both our exes.
You didn't?
I did.
Really? Which ones?
Because I just saw
significant ones.
Yes, the significant ones, the two significant ones.
Okay.
Because I thought it'd be fun, because I knew they had some shared degrees, and I thought, oh, that'll be interesting.
And they have been in the same room at our wedding, haven't they?
Yes, they have.
Oh, but no sparks flew on that occasion.
Well, no, they were both with. They were partnered up.
Okay, fair enough.
So,
yes.
But I just thought it would be fun to have a look at, the comparisons, because I knew there were some similar points, which is not unheard of, because obviously our charts match up, don't they?
Yes.
And both of our exes had a match with us and a resonance with us.
Yes.
It's not unheard of to hear of.
Circle of Life. I feel a song coming on. But it's not the one we're looking at this evening, is it?
No. But let's see what some comments are coming in.
Oh dear.
Facebook user.
I wasn't expecting
Sarah,
that. You put me on the spot.
Exes,
I could have been furious about that, couldn't I? In fact, I might be later, because I just haven't got the energy right now. Quite honestly.
God, I hope not. I'm guessing neither of them are going to subscribe anyway, so that's good. You weirdos, welcome to the club. Oh, she did. Oh.
Helen's enjoying this too much.
She is.
You still on the toilet?
Okay.
What are you doing in there, Helen? I'm just watching an astrology show. Oh.
You've been saying, oh, that's interesting. Ooh. Okay, should we get on to the music?
Well, yes, that's what I'm here for. All right. Goodness gracious, I've got things to do.
Okay, all right.
Not.
No, okay. So we are looking, hopefully, at Venus. So this is the bit where
I'm your Venus, I'm your fire, your desire.
So we're not allowed to play the music.
I actually have figured out what's going on now.
Go on.
This is just, like, I don't like listening to your music, but this makes me do it, doesn't it? You've subjected me to Adam and the Ants, a terrible track by Adam and the Ants last time.
Yeah.
And now Bananarama. I mean, fair enough. Bananarama with the Fun Boy 3. It ain't what you do, it's the way that you do it. And that's what gets results. Brilliant. And we listened, didn't we, to Terry Hall and the Fun Boy 3 doing Our Lips Are Sealed.
Yeah, it's a
brilliant.
Good song. Good song.
And then there's this Venus cover version.
To be
by
fair,
Bananarama.
Have you ever heard me play Bananarama before on my 80s playlist?
I imagine it's come through as on Spotify as a suggested listener.
Yeah, it's not. I would never.
And it's been like you're a minute into it singing along, thinking,
oh
my God, it's Bananarama and Venus. I got to turn this off quick before somebody catches me singing it.
Sarah's saying, look, next up, Spice Girls.
Set your spirit free. It's the only way to be. That was a Spice Girls. That was a great track, I thought.
Seriously.
It wasn't astrological, but it was set your
No.
spirit free. It's the only way to be.
Okay.
I think I used it on a flyer once for a spiritual
you?
course I was doing at the Adult Education College. Set your spirit free. It's the only way to be the Spice Girls, as though
Okay.
they'd, given me a quote on my leaflet. Anyway,
Yeah. Okay.
So yeah, don't joke, Facebook user.
Yeah. That's Sarah.
Hi, Sarah.
Sarah in the north.
Sarah in the north.
Sarah in the north of Portugal. Okay, so we're gonna have a look at the Venus lyrics to see if there's any.
Do we have to?
To see if there's any artistic license or astrological.
That is what
integrity.
listening for signs is all about.
Yeah, it is.
Artistic license,
Do you know what? I
or
looked to see if I spelled that right.
astrological integrity. I can read an auto cue. I just made a mistake there.
Okay.
So this is like having an auto cue. This is very good. Thank you. It's very
Yeah.
thoughtful of you.
Okay, dokes. So
Got us on a mountain top, burning like a silver flame, the summit of beauty and love, and Venus was her name. She's got it. It's awful. And then Stock Aitken and Waterman, I think, were on the production for this.
Yeah.
Which is, Anyway, go on. Yeah. Roadblock was good. Everything else.
Okay. Right. First of all, Venus. What is Venus about? The planet Venus.
Love
Yeah. But like,
and fire.
well, I don't think Venus really has much to do with fire. Like, if you look at Venus,
The
just
flames
in
of passion.
general- well, yeah, but now we're going through Venus retrograde at the moment, and if you're interested in Venus retrograde, you may have watched my Venus retrograde video where I've spoken about evening star Venus versus morning star Venus.
Goodness
Now,
gracious. Who doesn't like the finger of Yod first thing in the morning? I heard you. What's that? Anyway, sorry, carry on.
Anyway, we're going from the evening star Venus at the moment, and the evening star Venus is associated with goddess Urania and other sort of spiritually loving goddesses, But the morning star Venus, does anyone know who the morning star Venus is associated
I will
with?
need multiple choice for this to jog my memory.
Let's see if anyone in the in the chat room knows.
I
Not
did.
yet. So someone's saying, did Carl just say artistic?
And I meant
Yes,
to.
He did. He did.
I
He
meant
did
to say that. I
deliberately.
meant to say that.
Yeah, he did say that.
Look it up.
I know somebody that would appreciate those lyrics in Seattle. Excellent. Welcome back from Seattle, by the way. So, okay, nobody has come up with it yet. So let me just share.
What was the question again? Who's the
morning star Venus associated with?
Right. Okay. Do we
'Cause
get
I
some
think-
clues?
Okay. What does this fiery styling look like to you?
Hell.
Yeah, Hellfire. And they're all dressed in black as well.
Yeah.
I mean, their version of Venus here.
I mean,
is
they had me at
satanic
hell.
Venus.
They had me at hell when
Yeah.
Stock Aitken and Waterman were producing it, and it was Bananarama singing a cover version of Venus. I mean, that was
Yeah.
all the hell I needed.
Yeah.
And then, they've followed through on the cover, so to speak.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here we go. The morning star in mythology
Oh my goodness, it gets worse,
is
doesn't it?
Lucifer. Now, Lucifer, obviously,
The fallen angel, to
the
be fair.
the fallen angel,
Yes.
also known as the
But
light
what a
bearer.
fall. Yeah.
Also known as the light bearer, and is also known for phosphorus
Mhm.
and being.
Ever
known
seen
as-
phosphorus in water in the science lab?
No, but
Whoa.
I tell you what.
Homeopathically.
Homeopathically, I'm a phosphorus
Yep.
type, and like phosphorus, which is associated with Lucifer, but also the light bearer, also has some good. It's not all bad, It's,
What
it's
is
highlighting.
in this creation of ours? Not everything's
Yeah,
all bad, is it?
Exactly.
I mean, some people try really hard.
Yeah.
That said, but nothing is all bad, and nothing
Yeah.
stays the same forever, does it?
Exactly. So the morning star, which is the planet Venus at dawn, is personified as the male figure bearing a torch, Lucifer. And he had almost no legend, but in poetry, he was often the herald of dawn. So I think,
Do you think they were playing with this?
well, I don't know if Bananarama were aware of it.
They wouldn't have known, would they? They
I'm
would have been
pretty
manipulated by
sure-
their management and record company.
I'm
I
pretty sure
suspect.
the record company knew this.
Those rascals.
It's a very
I
dark
think I
version.
met Lucifer at a record company once.
I'm sure you did.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's a very dark version of Venus.
Yes.
But the morning star Venus is known as being the more sexual Venus. So if you're born with the morning star Venus, and I can show you, I mean, there's a little, I'll point you to the bit where it teaches you how to do that if you're interested in knowing. But the
Okay.
morning star Venus is really practical, much more able to bring in wealth, much more direct. She's also known as being a fearsome goddess, like a warrior goddess,
Right.
a warrior goddess of love. So when you look at it from this perspective, all of a sudden these lyrics are starting to make a bit of sense. So
Wow.
took a while to get
Wow.
there.
Yes. Well, like I said, not everything's all bad.
Exactly.
You know, something.
So there you go.
There had to be something redeeming about
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
So, are we?
We're gonna actually look
We
at
are
the
moving towards some artistic
lyrics.
integrity here.
Actually, yeah.
Sorry.
So look,
Yes.
goddess on a
No.
mountaintop. burning
Astrological integrity.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
Or some mythological integrity.
Right.
So goddess on the mountaintop, burning like a silver flame. So she's
Ding,
there's
ding,
something
ding, ding, ding.
there's something a bit strong about her and a bit alluring about her. The summit of beauty and love. Oh, sorry, are we stopping you from doing your social
I am
media?
multitasking at the moment. I started something when you kept me waiting, and now I've got to complete that. I am capable. If you hadn't brought that to everybody's attention, no one would have noticed.
No, they just would have heard the tap tapping.
Yeah, but it looks like I'm in a busy astrological newsroom. I've
Okay,
got stuff
all right.
coming in that I'm dealing with.
Yeah, okay. So the summit of beauty and love, and Venus was her name. She's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. I'm your Venus, I'm your fire and your desire.
Your desire.
I mean, that's not a very Venusian
I can
thing
hear
to
the
say,
music in the background. I'm not happy about it.
Yeah.
It's an earworm for sure, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one that's going to get in there
Ding,
and
ding, ding,
drive
ding,
you
ding, ding. It's very high
crazy.
energy. Yeah, very sort of gay disco tune. Not that I've got a problem with that in the right context, but you know, Bananarama, what? Bananarama
love
should
it.
stay out of off the gay dance floor. I would say there are far better people
yeah.
for making those
Oh,
tunes.
definitely.
Yeah,
Like Donna Summer.
yeah. And Dead or Alive,
Oh,
Divine. You know, some great. Yeah.
Okay. Her weapons were her crystal eyes.
Okay.
I mean, that's
She's
pretty.
weaponizing her vision.
Yep. And she's
Long before that was popular.
And she's weaponizing crystal as well. I mean, she's using crystal against.
I've got to look at
man.
the original composition here. So who did you say wrote the original? Because we're looking at the
It
song.
was a Dutch name. It was, so I can't remember it.
Okay, all right, but I mean that's
Something
important
Van
because they
something.
can't take any credit. They can take a lot of. Oh, Shocking Blue were the original 1969 purveyors of this, who I think were. What are you laughing at?
I love.
My use of the word purveyor.
Yeah.
Who had a hit with Venus? Venus, a song by Dutch rock band Shocking
Robbie
Blue.
Van Leeuwen.
Yeah, Robbie Van Leeuwen wrote
Or
it.
Leeuwen.
Okay, I got to find out, or Leuven even,
Okay.
on some parts of the Netherlands, I suspect. Can I do my
Go
try
on,
to
go
turn
on.
it into a music show bit
Okay,
here?
go on then.
Venus is a song by Dutch rock band Shocking Blue, initially released as a single in the Netherlands in the summer of '69.
Good summer.
It was the summer of. It literally was the summer of '69. Written by Robbie Van Leeuwen. The song topped the charts in 9 countries, so it was very catchy, as you know. And Bananarama gave it a new lease of life in 1986. Covered Venus for their 3rd studio album, and by that stage, they really must have been scraping the barrel, which is actually one of the tracks on that 3rd album. It's called "Scraping the Barrel," and it's them scraping various barrels.
Yeah.
And they have it harmonized and Stock Aitken and Waterman put it to a disco beat. It's amazing. Okay. Not really, by the way. There's a True Confessions was the name of that album, with the single reaching #1 in 6 countries. Again, 6 countries. Wow. Oh, 9 countries first, 6 that time round. So the composition then, fast forward, I can tell you're getting impatient with me here, Sagittarian style. A song was written by Robbie Van Leeuwen, as we said, Shocking Blues guitarist. He's a sitarist as well.
Cool.
And backing vocalist Van Leeuwen wrote new lyrics, set music based on the banjo song by Tim Rose and the Big Three. So it is an old tune, which is in turn lyrically a modification of the 19th century song, "Oh, Susanna, won't you cry for me?"
What?
Yep.
Seriously?
And the various lyrics of that, like when you're a kid, "I had bogey sip because it's the only thing that's free." Did you not sing that?
I never knew that version.
No, okay. So isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Influences from other songs include the opening guitar riff that is similar to The Who's Pinball Wizard.
Ooh,
So there's some pedigree in this,
Okay.
isn't there? Definitely. Okay. Do you want me to stop?
Yeah.
Okay.
But thank you.
No. You've got to hear this.
Oh, go on.
The lyrics, however, contained a typo in the line when Shocking Blue.
Was it supposed to be a P instead of a V?
A goddess on the mountain top with goddess written as godness, which
Oh.
is how Vers sang it on the record and on television.
Okay.
So they actually sing "Godness on the mountain top," thinking they were singing about God and not this hellish vision you have in front of us.
So it wasn't that I'm your penis, I'm your fire. It wasn't that spelling.
No, that's very immature.
Okay.
I'm
Right.
afraid. That's a new low. Not even I. I was never going to go there. Never.
I was always.
I did
gonna
say
do that.
artistic by mistake, but never was I going to say
You
penis
never
instead of
said
Venus.
it. Okay. All right. Okay.
Immature.
It was, yes, definitely. Okay. Just before we finish off with the crescendo.
We're finishing already.
No,
Oh, okay.
with the crystallize and all
Yeah.
that. And we've got a few comments coming in.
Yeah.
I think people are finding this quite funny.
Bow,
Owen is
bow.
saying, get this, look.
Right.
Owen is saying, how about no matter what sign you are by the Supreme?
Owen.
Owen, that's what we did last week.
Yeah, you were there. Wasn't he there?
I don't think it was.
Because we were. He was telling
We
me
did
that
it on
Diana
Sunday.
Ross. Oh, what happened with it, or should we do it?
We've already done it, darling.
Read. Owen, where's your head at?
That's a good song.
But it's nothing to do with astrology.
No, I don't think so.
That I do like the sound of, and I think Curtis Mayfield would have
Readings
some
in
astrological integrity. He's that kind of guy, I think.
Okay, so we've got some more comments coming in.
Yeah.
Newbie.net's laughing.
Richard
Law,
Laws.
hello. Could it be interpreted as I'm your aphrodisiac based on Aphrodite? Yes, it could.
It's hard to rhyme that though, Richard. I'm your aphrodisiac. I can imagine Banana Rama in the
Yeah.
studio with Stockacre and Waterman.
Yeah.
It's like 3 a.m. and we got to get this third album finished.
Aphrodisiac.
What rhymes with aphrodisiac? Ask the guy who's just delivered the
Maniac.
pizza. Maniac.
Maniac.
I'm your maniac. I'm your aphrodisiac. Your desire. Yeah,
What
Richard,
rhymes-
he's got a point. Was he
Okay.
there? Maybe.
Who knows? Helen's saying, wait, what? Whose penis was on fire?
It's all right. We've dealt with it. It's a cream for that. Yes. Please take the pain away, but can I keep the swelling?
We've got Margaret Maggie Reed. Hello.
Yeah.
I've not seen you on the show.
Oh,
before,
I'm
so
sorry. This is the first time you've seen
Thank
us
you.
as well. Please, it's not normally like this, Margaret. Well, it kind of is.
It's
but
so
it's
is.
so
It's
much more.
always
It's
like
so much
this.
more serious.
So Virgo here. Hello. Oof. This supermoon.
Yeah,
Woo, blue
well,
moon
yes,
season.
absolutely
Lionsgate.
right.
Whoosh.
We're all over the place.
The energies leading up to today were gubbing me. I
Got
don't
a
know what
great
gubbing. That's a
phrase.
great.
Gubbing,
Yeah.
yeah.
But today was simply lovely. Yeah.
Gubbing, is that a northern British phrase? Gubbing. It's giving you a right good gubbing as this full moon.
Okay, so if you know the meaning of gubbing, please put it in, or gubbing.
Gubbing. It sounds
Gubbing.
like something from Wallace and Gromit, doesn't it?
Yeah, maybe.
Oh, I'd love a nice cheese sandwich, Gromit. I've had a gubbing of a day.
Oh,
We could be in so much trouble,
yeah.
depending on how Margaret takes that on her
Yes.
first time here.
I know. It's so
Sorry
nice
about
for
that.
Margaret to join us.
And
Thank
then
you
be
for joining
treated
us.
in this way. Sorry, Margaret.
We're not treating you badly. We're just laughing.
It's a full moon. It's
because
getting to me.
we're a bit giddy.
I'm 70% water at the best of times. Come the full moon, all over the place.
Owen's saying, I'm sorry.
He was there, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was there. Jeff is saying, wow, that sounds painful. Hello, Jeff from
Yeah.
Seattle. Helen's saying, I'm a trained firefighter. I can put the penis out of fire.
Is there a special course for that?
Yeah.
Do you think there is?
Who knows?
It can't be a
Gubbins
like,
is stuff. Oh,
what the gubbins?
Gubbins.
Oh yes, as
you
in
say Gubbins.
yeah. Pass the gubbins, will you? Yeah, it's in that drawer of gubbins. But
yeah, we actually say Gubbins, but we didn't
Is it
realize
the
it had a
same-
G on the end.
yeah, but gubbing me. Okay.
Mm,
Yeah, all right,
interesting. Like
interesting.
stuffing you.
Yeah, it's proper stuffed. Yeah, stuffed up.
Okay.
Yeah, stuffed and not chuffed.
Which is a
Which
whole
was
other song.
Banana Rama's
and-
fourth album.
Helen's saying, only if it is at sea. I'm only trained to put fires out at sea.
She's very niche, isn't she?
She's very good.
My penis is on fire. Where are you? Oh, inland. Sorry, can't help. I can only do it if it's at sea.
This is the nighttime version of this show. By the way,
But it's only 20
it's
to
an
9.
STCW course. I don't know what that stands
It's different
for.
to an
but it's-
STD course,
So should we
which is the
finish?
other reason your penis might be on fire. But anyway, please, can you get a grip on this show? It's your show,
Okay, all right.
and I'm in danger of
Let's-
ruining it.
No, it's fine. It's all good fun, and
Yeah.
I think we're all adults here. I certainly don't advertise it to
Really?
under
All right.
18s. So the last bit, her weapons were her crystal eyes,
Yes.
making every man a man.
Mm.
Now, to me, what I'm getting there is that she's like using those crystal eyes. She's kind of giving them that,
Yeah.
that sort of sexy eyes type thing.
Yeah.
Black as the dark night.
Very 1969 lyrics, I would say there.
Okay.
Yeah.
She she was got what no one else has. Maybe that's a.
She has got possibly.
she
I
has
mean, there's
got what
typos.
no-
This is
So the
is
typos
riven
in the
with
last one,
typos, isn't it?
okay.
Yeah.
She has got what no one else had. And then I haven't typed it in again because like she's got it. Yeah, baby, she's got it. And it's
You know
basically
what? They
she
really
just-
got into it. I'm looking at the versions of this. It was Stock Aitken and Waterman and
Yeah.
the Lin 9000, i.e. the Lin drum. And you can hear the Lin drum in this if you're a bit of an aficionado of such things. Stock Aitken and Waterman on there then. And other versions included the Hellfire mix on London Records, the Fire and Brimstone mix. So they were probably getting into this whole Venus
Yeah.
fire and Hellfire thing. Yeah,
I'm guessing that this was also possibly a bit of an incantation of some
Do you think
sort.
so?
Yeah, it could very well have been.
Wow. Pete Kerr directed the video. Now, I knew him from
Okay.
Sheffield. I met Pete Kerr because he directed some Cabaret Voltaire videos. And there he was directing a video for Bananarama. It is a music show,
Yeah.
isn't it? Turning it into a music show.
All right. So last.
Oh, no. The Global Nobles came in to hear me shouting out my penis is on fire. I'm so sorry.
And I just squeaked like a little child. So anyway, great show, guys. Love you both.
Thank
That's
you
so
very
kind.
much.
We
That
are
is very kind,
we are
considering.
we are drawing this to a close now. Thank you to everybody that listened in for the first time, and hopefully you'll come back, Margaret. It's lovely to have you
Yeah,
here.
Margaret. Margaret hasn't said another thing, though, has she?
No,
after
she
that?
hasn't. I hope
Margaret,
she's
please
okay.
tell us you're okay and we're not offended.
Yeah.
You're not offended by our silly behaviour.
Yeah, we are a little bit giddy.
Definitely.
Sarah's saying, "Get a grip, Louisa."
Yes, for goodness sakes.
The Globals Nobles are also saying, "Best show ever."
Viola is here. So glad I joined. So so glad I missed most of it. I think is what I thought you. And who could blame you for saying something like that?
So glad I joined. So sorry I missed most of it. Oh, you're very welcome to be here, Viola. This is hubby, by the way, just so you know.
Well,
Global
you've owned
Nobles
up
are
to
saying,
that.
The only thing that could make this show any better is if there was a fly.
She's only said it because my forehead looks massive tonight. The landing pad is ready for.
Well, because she saw the show where I smacked you on the head with the fly swatter.
We've got quite the compilation reel, haven't we,
Yeah, we
at
do.
the end of this year
Yeah.
with nakedness. Is that over now? Have we escalated that to its final conclusion, or are there more surprises to come, do you think?
I don't know. Let's
There's
keep
been
everyone.
flies on foreheads, there's been nakedness, and now flaming penises. I don't know where we go next, basically.
I don't know, but it's
What
in your
you-
hands. So
Oh,
let us
no.
know. Let us know what song you'd like.
Careful,
us
wear
to.
gloves, is my advice.
Final comments then. You guys crack me up, and I'm still up for putting your penis fire out if you're at sea.
That was always the deal, though. She's not trained for land-based incidents of that kind, as far as I recall. But anyway, that's all part of the STCW training course. A lot of people will be looking that up now,
Yeah,
won't they?
yeah,
What is this course
yeah. It sounds exciting.
that
and
Helen
exotic.
speaks of? Yeah.
Anyway, last comments from Nubia. This was fun as usual. So anyway, please.
Oh,
do...
but we didn't come to a conclusion. It
Oh,
was
that's
there.
true.
We were looking for,
Okay,
listening
yeah.
for signs.
Yep.
What would you say then, Mrs. M? Is Bananarama or the song? Let's go with the song because the version doesn't really make a difference.
Okay.
The song is Venus. It was written by Robbie Van Leeuwen, who he's 78 now, and he's from the Netherlands and was with what they call Shocking Blue.
Shocking Blue.
Did he write with artistic license or astrological integrity?
I think he's written with mythological integrity
Okay,
about Morning Star Venus, which is the saucier and naughtier of the two.
fair enough.
And also has some associations with Lucifer,
Yep,
aka the light bearer.
right.
But if we were talking about lovely planet Venus, it's not so integral. But this is like Venus in Scorpio or Venus in Aries. This is naughty Venus. So there you go.
Yeah.
So I think there's some integrity in this interpretation.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough.
So anyway, thank you so much for joining us today. Next show is on Sunday, and if you've got a song for us, then please do let us know, and we'll get on to it just as soon as we can, and just as soon as we pull ourselves out of the gutter.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks for joining us, and hopefully,
Yeah, thank you. It has been a lot of fun. So thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
hopefully, you'll enjoy the full moon and not be too addled by it. As we're going out, I'm just going to put a little photo up, which is
Oh,
Owen's.
cheers, Owen. Yeah.
This was Owen's full moon pic from a couple of days ago.
And he's a great poet, and I'm going to publish one of his poems later today or first thing tomorrow on Good Morning Portugal's channel with a beautiful soundscape in the background, some great videography of the sky and the sun, and also the beautiful sounds of northern Portugal.
Fantastic.
And his poem, of course, which is it's the backdrop to Owen reading his poem.
All right. Thanks to everyone that's listened in today. So we've had Seattle in the house. We've had Scotland. We've got Manchester. We've
Northern
got
Portugal,
Northern
Southern Portugal,
and Southern
mid
Portugal,
yeah.
mid Portugal.
Yeah.
And we got New Jersey in as well.
And
so
Margaret, who we may never...
I know where Margaret's from.
You
She's
do?
a Facebook friend.
Okay. So she's all good, I hope.
Yeah, I will
Okay.
check in with her.
Yeah, please do. Please
Anyway,
do.
lots of love. See you
Ciao,
soon.
ciao.
Bye-bye.